What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to basketball, and more importantly, welcome back to Ideal Offseason. This is a series where I put the GM cap on for a little bit and help a team navigate through their offseason. Now, we try to keep this series as realistic as possible, meaning we take a look at each team's individual needs and try to help guide them through the offseason that better positions them after the offseason's over. Whether it's the Washington Wizards, in this case, you weren't a very good team these last couple seasons, but you got a couple young guys you're trying to build upon. We're going to help you do that. If you're the Los Angeles Lakers, you got Luka and LeBron, you're obviously trying to win a championship, so we're going to try to help you do that. And as mentioned, today, the Washington Wizards, a team that has been pretty rough the past couple seasons, but we are going to try to start to steer them in maybe a more favorable direction. I think they've actually already started to do that a little bit, which is great. How are we going to do that? We're going to be breaking down the roster, their salary cap situation, going over their draft picks and assets, making realistic trades, going through a mock draft, going through free agency, using realistic numbers and scenarios, all to try to make this ideal offseason. But hey, before we do that, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment. I've responded to every single comment to my YouTube channel up to this point, and I intend to keep on doing so. Ideal Offseason is back. You're obviously watching one right here. Go watch the other ones on the channel. They're a lot of fun. It's the most popular series on my channel by far. I think I'm really the only one on YouTube doing stuff like this, so go give them a watch. Also, go watch my Do They Fit in the NBA series videos. They get demonetized every single time. It's really annoying and unfairly done, but you know what? I like doing them, and you guys like watching them, so who cares about the financial stuff? Let's just keep having a good time together. So yeah, let's go talk about the Wizards. And that brings us back to the ideal offseason spreadsheet. For those of you new to the channel, this is a spreadsheet that I built to kind of help articulate and visualize the story of ideal offseason. If you want access to the spreadsheet, it's really simple. Go down to the description of this video, join the Discord. There's a link there. It's free. Just go hop on. Then you go to the announcements channel, and the first link you'll see, there's a free link to download the spreadsheet. Make your own stuff with it, post it on the Discord, have a bunch of fun. Let's get down to business. The Washington Wizards have been one of the poverty franchises in the NBA for a long time. This is a franchise, and I'm sorry, Wizards fans, let's just get it all out in the open because I think that's an important thing to do, is to be honest during these series. If you were to talk to NBA players, which I sometimes get the pleasure of doing, they'll tell you there's a couple teams they really don't care to play for. One of them is the Washington Wizards. It's pretty much chaos on the inside of this organization all the time, and there's a reason they're never good. The last time you remember them being any sort of relevant was John Wall and Bradley Beal, who those were two awesome talents that they were lucky enough to draft, and then they didn't really do much with those talents, right? There was nowhere for them to go. They weren't able to put much of a team around them. They never really had much playoff success, and those two honestly didn't improve a ton in their time there anyway. I mean, Bradley Beal was a very, very good player, so was John Wall, but you never really got to see their games expand too much. John Wall isn't actually in the NBA anymore due to injuries, but anyway, this last season, let's do just a little bit of a recap for them. We anticipated they'd be one of the worst teams in basketball last year. This was a tank for Cooper Flag type of season, and unfortunately, the draft lottery happened, and you fell to the 6th pick in the draft. Numerically, was kind of the most likely outcome, but it still sucks, right? It's unfortunate that happened to them. So they were rolling out with 3 rookies that they had taken in the first round of last year's draft. It wasn't a very good draft class, but they had the number 2 overall pick, Alex Sarr, who we expected to be a good defender and not much of an offensive player. That was proven to be true. He had a solid season, all rookie first team. You also had Bub Carrington, Carlton Carrington, and Keyshawn George here, who, didn't have high expectations for anyway, but they had some solid moments during their rookie season. A lot of this season was like, oh my God, this is so hard to watch, like Jordan Poole and Kyle Kuzma play together. You ended up moving Kyle Kuzma, and you brought in Chris Middleton, very solid veteran player, and you also brought in Marcus Smart along the deadline in some really smart moves of helping teams just save on some cap space. And now all of a sudden the Wizards, they started to win a couple basketball games because they got some vets on the team to kind of help lead people. We talked about this with the Pistons. You need guys like this on the team when you've got all these young guys you're trying to develop. There needs to be some leadership, some on-court coaching, and just having a couple competent basketball players on the court went a long way for this team. Now, a lot of the success was happening in like March and April, and success is maybe even still maybe too big of a word to use for this team, right? But it looked a lot better. Again, March and April basketball in the NBA isn't really real. Like, we've talked about that a lot on the channel. If you have questions about that, I'm happy to explain it in the comments. But this team did better position themselves, and for the first time in a while, this team was making some pretty smart moves. And so that was encouraging, right? Like, you did the right thing, add those vets, and you start to see a little bit of growth in the young guys. But where do we go now, right? I mean, we've got a couple draft picks this year. We've got some young guys that we're trying to give a little bit more playing time to, trying to get better, but also we still don't probably quite have that guy that gives us the confidence to be like, okay, we've got that 1A guy. Where do we go now? It's time to start building up. No, we're probably still not going to be a very good basketball team this year, and I don't intend to make this team a playoff team or anything like that. I don't think they'll even be close. We'll probably be towards the bottom of the league again, because we have to get that guy on this team, and it's unfortunate that you didn't, but this is where we're at. So, how are we going to do this? What are we doing for this offseason? Well, I want to start off by breaking down the roster. We'll talk about who we have, then we'll go over the salary cap, and then we'll talk about draft assets, and then we'll start making some moves. So let's start off with the roster. For those of you new to these videos, AVC, what are these numbers right here? These are EPM numbers. EPM stands for estimated plus minus. It's this really, really advanced statistic that we have in basketball that gives you a number to represent how good somebody is at offense, defense, and then just overall as a player. And what I've gone and done is indexed those numbers so that we can have a 0 to 100 scale as to how good somebody is at offense, defense, and just overall in the NBA in comparison to everybody else. So it adds a little bit of context to each of these players. I'll always say when it comes to any statistic, it does not tell the complete story. You need context. You need to be able to read into things. Like if you see, oh, such and such had a bad defensive season, well, you can look around and say, well, like a lot of players on their team had a bad season. Maybe there's something going on with the game plan there. Maybe just not having good defensive players around them made their job so much harder, because it does, right? Those are all things that matter, but I like to keep them on the screen to add context to the story. And it is a really good statistic. It's extremely well thought through. You should go read about it. First guy on here, Chris Middleton, a guy that was injured for a lot of last season, didn't have a great run when he was with the Bucks last year, and they ended up trading him for Kuzma, which I think if you could ask Bucks fans, they'd be like, oh my god, please no, give us back Chris Middleton, we're so sorry. And I understood the swing and everything, I really did, but there was a chance that what happened, and it did. Chris Middleton played pretty well for Washington. He was kind of back to just getting his buckets, being just a solid overall player. You'll see still in the upper echelon for offensive players, about league average defensively. Again, he was still kind of playing, just trying to get himself back into playing shape last year, so not really tripping about that too much. You probably don't expect him to be quite the defender that he once was, but he's got a 1-year player option. I don't see why he doesn't opt into that. Maybe he does opt out and he wants to go take less money elsewhere, but nobody's going to pay him nearly this much. So I'd have to imagine he's just kind of going to say, all right, look, I'm going to be on Washington this year. I'm going to get my buckets, maybe try to raise my value. Maybe I get bought out halfway through the year or something like that, and I go sign with a contending player. I could see that happening, but for the time being, we want to keep him around, right? We would love to keep Chris Middleton around. We want that veteran presence on the team for our young guys. Then we have Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole offensively was honestly pretty solid for them last year. I felt like he made a lot of improvements, and you know what's funny, because I always get a couple comments from people that don't realize that I have to watch basketball. I do watch basketball professionally for my career and my job. A lot of it's college because that's where a lot of my clients are, but I do watch a lot of NBA stuff, and I have to bill out my time as to what I'm watching. The number one team I watched last year was the Wizards. So that was my number one team that I watched this last year. And part of that is I have a lot of connections within this organization, probably more than any other team in the NBA, which that's why I get to hear about some of the crazy things that go on here. But Jordan Poole, overall, when I was watching him last year, I thought he was playing pretty solid basketball for the most part, and for not really having a competent NBA team around him. I thought he made a lot of improvements. Offensively, he's awesome, right? We all know that. Defensively, meh, not very good at all. You'll see 15th percentile here. I'd like to think a full season of having competent people around him would mean that we can maybe have another solid season here. Is he going to be a long-term piece for this team? Almost certainly not, but there's not really a reason to get rid of him either, because when we have all these young guys on the team that are trying to figure out their roles in the NBA, having a guy like Jordan Poole that teams can be like, okay, this is the primary guy, we got to stop tonight, then we're good, and so nobody else has to really get scouted and worried about. That gives guys like Sarr, Carrington, Keyshawn George a little bit more flexibility on the team. You want to keep a Jordan Poole type guy on the team. Marcus Smart, another really important vet brought onto this team. He's in the last year of his contract, so not a big deal either. Obviously elite defensively, offensively, has his moments, right? Not always the greatest, not always the worst. Pretty okay, and definitely an attitude culture guy we want to keep on the team. Him and Middleton, I don't want to do anything with them. They're on the last year of their contract. I'd rather just keep them here because it's going to raise the level of our other guys having them on the team. Cool. Corey Kispert, just starting his new contract here. He's got a 4-year, looks like about $14-ish million a year contract. He's been suffering as of late. The shooting was not great this last season. It's not like it was bad. It's just like you expect him to be an elite shooter. He really wasn't. Defensively, he doesn't do much at all for you. I'm, again, going to hope that we can either move him somewhere else. I think it's going to prove to be difficult. He's at this like weird contract point where it's like, it's not a little bit of money, but it's a decent amount of money, so I don't exactly know who's going to be interested in that. But worst case scenario, like, we're not contending right now anyway, so I'm not tripping about it too much if he's still on the team. Rashawn Holmes only has $250K guaranteed on his contract. He's kind of just a big center that's going to run, jump, and dunk. He's strong as hell. I don't really see a point in paying him $13-ish million. I also don't have a ton of roster spots left, so I think what I would like to do is just take this $250K right here, and what we'll do is we're just going to put it here. So that we can mark that he's getting his $250K. That's still counting against the cap and everything, but we're gonna let go of Rashawn Holmes here and take him off our depth chart just because there's not really a point in keeping him around. I can go find us some other centers. Now we have Alex Sarr, second overall pick this last year, as we said, all rookie first team. This is one of those where I'm going to say you have to look into the metrics a little bit with things. 6.3 on defense last year. Now, I'm not going to tell you he was elite defensively last year, but I'll tell you he had a lot of elite moments defensively last year, and that's all I can really ask for. He's a rookie playing around a bunch of other bad defensive players, because mind you, right, like Marcus Smart wasn't here for most of the season. He's trying to figure out the NBA, and some of the best other defenders on the team weren't even like playing a whole bunch. So this is kind of one where I'm going to ask you to look past the statistic at least a little bit. Again, I'm not going to tell you it was perfect. He was a rookie, but a center that can switch on to multiple positions. His rotation speed is really, really good. A lot of the rim protection was really good last year, so it's something that we're going to try to look past. Had some good offensive moments, not that great still, but we didn't expect that coming in. But really nice athletic center, I think can be good in the long run as just a quality starting center. Bilal Coulibaly's got a team option. We're going to accept that. He's pretty solid defensively. Offensively, he's not quite figuring it out yet. I will say Coulibaly, again, looks like he knows what he's doing at all times, but again, maybe suffering from not having enough quality talent around him. I know I keep hitting on this, but think about it in Cade Cunningham terms, right? This was the first year where people were like, wow, Cade Cunningham's really good. No, he's always been this good. He just didn't actually have NBA players on his team around him. So it's like, what is he supposed to do? Have you ever gone to the gym and played pickup? And this is me sometimes. I go to play pickup, and I'm quite a bit better than the average person playing pickup in basketball. And so as soon as people figure out that I'm pretty good, I'll get like double and triple teamed in a lot of things, and if I don't have people that can catch the ball on my team, I can't really do that much, and so that's what tends to happen. But I have hope for Coulibaly. Sadiq Bey didn't really play at all last season. He was injured. Maybe he'll be a cheap 3-and-D option for us this year. I guess we'll see. Bub Carrington, again, numbers not great. He's a rookie point guard. We're not tripping about it. He's on a not so great team. He had some good moments where he's playmaking a little bit, getting to that mid-range shot he likes so much. The three-point shot started to come around at points during the season, but we're not going to judge him too hard until he has the opportunity to play with some better people this next year. My goal for him would be to start to see some improvement by the end of this season. AJ Johnson, got him as a part of the Kyle Kuzma trade as well. Another first-round pick point guard. Extremely raw, extremely athletic. I don't really know what his game is outside of just being very athletic. I'm not sure I see the pathway for him to being a great NBA player, but you know, this isn't a guy we also expect to be good for another year or two anyway, and by good I mean serviceable even. So this is a long-term project. We'll keep him around because why not? Keyshawn George, solid enough defensive player, and I'll say I actually think his numbers may be inflated a little bit just because there was a lot of moments, and maybe it's, again, stats can't really find effort always. There was a lot of moments where Keyshawn George really pissed me off last year just because the effort was so bad. But then I have to remind myself, this is a young guy. He's been a winner his whole life. Now he's going to the Washington Wizards, and he's just getting waxed every single night on national TV, right? And that's a hard thing for rookies to deal with. But overall, he had some really good defensive moments. We hope that the three ball and maybe some of the ball handling comes around. I don't really expect that second part quite as much, but we'll see. We'll let him keep developing. Then we've got these three down here. Anthony Gill, Justin Champagnie, and Colby Jones, all on non-guaranteed contracts. You can see just by the numbers which one of these guys contributes a little bit and which one doesn't. Justin, just just like his brother for the Spurs, actually kind of quietly one of the better role players in the NBA. So I am going to guarantee his contract. Anthony Gill and Colby Jones, not really doing much for us. I'd rather have the roster spots, so we're just going to be letting them go. So that's the roster breakdown. I know that's a lot to kind of digest, but there's a lot of context, I feel like, this team, so I want to be detailed with it. Let's move over to the salary cap now. So for those of you new to the channel, there are 4 levels to the NBA salary cap. If you want an in-depth explanation as to them, you can go down to my Phoenix Suns video down here. You can watch that. I go into much more depth about what these are, but here's your brief run through. 4 levels. The first one, the cap space line. Once this number, which we are $15 million away right now, hits 0, that means we are over the cap. You can only re-sign your own players for anything more than a minimum contract. There are like exceptions to that and stuff. I'm not going to break all those down right now because there's those are a little bit more complicated. The next line, the luxury tax line. Once this number hits 0, your team gets way more expensive to operate. And then we have the first and second apron. The first and second apron are newer to the NBA. They were put in place so that star players wouldn't get traded as much. It brings a little bit of balance to the NBA, and so far it has, which is pretty cool. Basically what happens once you start crossing these is the NBA starts to choke you out and say, all right, if you think you're that good and you want to pay this much to your team, then that's it. You don't really get to do anything else. You can't sign these guys. You can't trade like this. You can't play these games anymore with us. The only way you can go is back down, and that's why you see teams like the Celtics most likely tearing down their team a little bit this year. So that's a brief run through of it. We have a ton of cap space. We're not going to be good, so I don't want to be a luxury tax space team. So that's where we got to operate, is not crossing this threshold. Draft picks. We've got plenty of them. I will say there's not necessarily a ton of quality in these picks outside of just having our own picks. I mean, maybe this Phoenix pick for next year where we can swap best with them will be good, but I have a hard time imagining we'll be worse than Phoenix, or that Phoenix will be worse than us, I should say. But we do have quite a few assets going forward. I actually couldn't even list all of them on here, and we've got 3 picks this year. I'm planning on using all of them again. Again, we just need talent on this team. It scares me a little bit to know that we had 4 rookies on the team last year. I should take these guys off of here. We had 4 rookies on the team last year. We're going to add 3 this year. That's a lot for one team, and that's a lot for a coaching staff. And part of me wonders if that's just a disservice to the group in general, to have that many young guys and projects on the team. Like, is that really helping Sarr get better? Is that helping Bub Carrington get better, right? Keyshawn George. I don't know. Even Koulibaly, right? A guy that we should be focusing on developing because he's an interesting player. Well, I don't know, but I also know, like, none of these guys should be considered completely untouchable either, right? And so I shouldn't just bank on them. I need to keep taking swings and hope that we find something, right? So that's kind of the idea. What are we doing for the rest of this? Well, I'm not going to lie, strategy-wise, this team isn't in a very bad spot at all. Like, we're intending to not be very good because we want to be able to use our first-round pick next year and hopefully get, like, we don't know who's going to be the first and second pick next year, but maybe they're going to be really good players and we'd like a shot at them, right? So that we can start building around those guys, right? But we also want to make sure that our young guys are getting on the court a little bit more and stuff. We want to make sure we have some vets on the team to support them, and we kind of already have a lot of this in place. So I think what we're going to do is, this might be a simpler video. We might not make a ton of moves here because I don't really think we need to. Like, I'm going to explore a Corey Kispert trade. I'm going to see if there's not some ways we can't, like, move, like, maybe up in the second round just a little bit to try to get a little bit better of a player. But otherwise, like, I don't think a ton of moves need to be made. Like, let's just keep this team cheap. Let's roll them out next year. Let the young guys play. Keep the vets on the team until maybe a point in the season where they want to be bought out or something else. But let's keep them here for the time being to help our guys. So let's move forward to the trade portion of the video. Alrighty, that brings us back here to Fanspo. Fanspo is a really cool website where you can do a bunch of things like use the trade machine, go through mock drafts. They've got a bunch of other tools and resources here. I'm not sponsored. I just think it's a cool website. Before we do the trades, did you just skip the last like 15 to 16 minutes of this video? The whole intro where I gave you all the background and strategy we're going to use in this video? I will punch you if you don't go back. I will find you and hit you hard. Brass knuckle style, pimp slap backhand. I don't care. No, I'm just playing with you. I mean, maybe you'll see me on the street. I don't know. But go watch the last part of that video. It's important. I know 65% of you normally skip it. So it's important context. Try to have a little bit of attention span, because why not? I don't know. Anyway, trades. What are we working with trade-wise in this video? Well, we've got 4 open roster spots right now, and we've got 3 draft picks that we would like to use and maintain. We need to figure out, though, how many free agents are we bringing back as well? Is there anybody from the team last year that we'd like to bring back? Well, Chris Middleton, we already talked about that. Brogdon's not coming back. It'd be cool to have him back, but I don't think he's coming back. I think he's going to go somewhere else. Tristan Vukacic, I believe that's the right pronunciation. I actually like his game a decent amount, and I think he's an interesting player, and he'd be cheap. So as much as it would not be the greatest to bring in another young guy on this team, I kind of want to hold a roster spot for him, just in case we're able to have an opportunity to bring him back. So I am going to put Mr. Vukacic right here. You can see offensively actually pretty interesting, defensively, but I don't know, like I'm just going to hold him here in case we have an open roster spot because I wouldn't mind bringing him back. So what this is telling us is we have to be sending out the same amount of players as we're bringing back. If something good transpires, then whatever. Okay, again, as we mentioned in the previous part of the video, I don't think there's a ton of moves that need to be made here. If you're confused by that, again, you didn't watch the other part of the video, so I don't know what to tell you. You're a moron. So I've thought about this a little bit, and the one thing that I would like to explore is a Corey Kispert trade. He feels like he just kind of isn't needed on this team. There's a couple other people here now. Spots could open up if Chris Middleton gets bought out, if Marcus Smart gets bought out, which those are entirely plausible. The other thing is we're going to be a very important team for people in this next year just because it's really hard for people to get traded. You need third teams to come in and absorb salary all the time. So Corey Kispert is going to be a valuable thing in that, where he can make certain trades happen. Like I could totally see a Drew Holiday trade or a Porzingis trade happening between like 2 teams and then us, and Corey Kispert's involved in that somehow. So that's why I don't just want to seek out a Corey Kispert trade. I want to kind of keep him here as a way to either kind of help maneuver some of those trades, move salary around, things like that. But we'll take a look and see if there's anything obvious. One really simple move that I think we should do is we should call up the Boston Celtics and say, look, they're trying to save every single dollar that they can right now, right? They have one guy here that's sneakily not quite a minimum contract in Xavier Tillman for this next year. And I think what we could do is we can give them actually an okay role player that we don't necessarily need. We can take on Tillman because, you know, why the hell not? We could use another big on the team behind Sarr, and we can use this as a way to say, hey, you can save a little bit of money, you can get a cheap player to throw in your rotation next year, which is what you're going to need, and I know that you have a second-round pick that I wouldn't mind taking back. It's our own second-round pick, you bastards. Give it back. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we take Xavier Tillman here, send him over here, right? 2.5. We've got Justin Champagnie at 2.3, 3 years. You can have this guy on your team at 23 years old. Pretty solid player overall in the NBA, solid contributor on both ends of the court. Next 3 years, cheap. You're looking for guys like this. That's gold mine to you. He can be your new maybe Sam Hauser or something next year. We send him over there, right? We're just gonna take Tillman in and then waive him at the end of the year. We just don't need Champagnie. I got other guys at the positions that I'd rather play more this year. It's nothing against him. What I want to do is I want to move up 8 spots in the second round to go get me a better second round talent, or technically like a late first round guy. So I want my pick back. You can have the 40th pick back because these second round picks are still important to the Celtics here. We're really not saving them that much money, but Champagnie's going to be valuable to them long term. And they still want that second round pick because it's another cheap way for them to fill out their roster this season, as the Celtics are just trying to be as cheap as possible. So this is kind of just a win-win overall for them. We get to move up and take a better swing at somebody this year, and then we just free up a little bit of cap space at the end of the season. Really not a big deal. I just want the opportunity to draft a little bit better because this is a pretty good draft class, and there should be some pretty solid players available at the end of the first round that we would like to capitalize on. Because again, I think it's a pretty good draft. So this trade works. It's a pretty simple one. So that's the first thing I'd like to do. So Champagnie is now Mr. Xavier Tillman Sr. here, who, wow, he was the 0th percentile on offense this last year. Oh my God. Well, that's rough. But you know what? That's where he is on the team nowadays. Maybe it's not the worst thing to have Vukacic on the roster this next year. Hey, look, he's not going to be that great. Is his contract guaranteed, actually? Can I take a look at this contract-wise? Where is his... Does it say? 1 second. Okay, yeah, his contract isn't guaranteed, so or it is guaranteed, excuse me, so we will just keep him on the roster. It's not a big deal. We'll take a backup big for the season. We're not intending to be good anyway. So now we have our own second round pick back. This is now pick 32. Great. I'm happy with that first move. After that, I really only have a couple ideas. We could take another swing at like a younger talent. So we've mocked out this trade a couple times, not in this exact fashion, but the Cavs are another team that need to dump salary, right? They need to dump salary. Isaac Okoro is an interesting 24-year-old player, plays pretty good defense, can shoot the ball a little bit. He's at least played around some other professionals before, which is always useful. And he can play a little bit, and he can play defense, right? And look, we don't got much defense going on here. It'd be nice if Alex Sarr didn't have to do like everything for us, like whether it's and by everything, obviously he still didn't have a great defensive season, but it's either a block or we just don't get a stop at all. Wouldn't mind getting another guy out there, but the question is like, where would he fit in this rotation, right? Well, Chris Middleton might not be there the whole season. You want to get George and Koulibaly out there quite a bit, and we'd swap Saddiq Bey, so I do think there's a spot for him in this, so I wouldn't mind doing something like this, and this is it. It's pretty simple, right? The Cavs need to just take back less money. They need to start saving money in some moves. Isaac Okoro is kind of one of those odd guys out. It's only 2 years for him at 24, so we're not going to be competitive in the next 2 years anyway. We take back Isaac Okoro. We send them back Saddiq Bey, ideally similar type of player. We're making a big assumption that he's healthy and ready to go, but we send him back here for way, way cheaper. And in this instance, do we really have to give them much else? I think we should give them a little bit here because Okoro is a bit better of a player. And here's the other thing with it. We have a lot of second-round picks in 2026. We don't want to be in a position as a team where we've got too many draft picks at one time. Having draft picks is good, but having them all at one time is actually a negative thing. Because think about it. If you're talking to a team like us and we've got only 4 open roster spots next year and we have 6 draft picks, well, there's not a lot of leverage in that because we can't roster all those players anyway, and teams are going to be like, well, either you trade with us or you just can't do anything with these picks and you just have to send these guys overseas or something, right? That's not advantageous to us at all. So we want to move back some of these second-round picks, and I think that that's okay. Like, Okoro's a solid enough player that we're getting back to where, look, we're saving you some money. We can give you some of these 2026 second round picks. This is a really complicated one. Like, there you go. You can have that. Send it back to the Cavaliers. And then, is there another one involved in this? I don't necessarily know. I feel like just the money alone and Saddiq Bey could be solid. I don't know. You make the case in the comments whether or not you think there should be another second round pick included in that. I don't necessarily think you need to. And also, these second round picks are going to be valuable to them because it's cheap ways, again, to fill out the back end of their rosters. They're going to have an expensive team. So I think that this is fine. This trade should work financially. Cool. Everybody's happy. If you think I should put another second round pick in it, I could justify that too. I could totally see that. So Saddiq Bey is now Mr. Okoro here, which again, okay, we've added a solid basketball player to the team. This is good. It's not going to win us a ton of basketball games, but it's better than what we had. So maybe I'll put George here. Don't worry about the depth chart too much. This is more for me to visualize kind of where everybody is. Like, so don't read into it too much. Like, once every video, I get a comment being like, I can't believe ABC you put Jaden Ivey as the backup point guard and not the starting shooting guard. Guess what? I don't give a shit. Just move on. Nobody cares. This isn't 2K. Shut up. I've also gotten a lot of comments saying people like when I'm being extra sassy, so I feel more comfortable doing that. But anyway, okay. I like that. My question now is, because I don't really feel the need to make much else of a move right now. I already explained the Corey Kispert thing. I just don't know who I would go and get for him. I went and looked through the numbers a little bit before this, and I don't know who I'm going to go get. Like, who am I saving from paying money to? I was like, could it be Keldon Johnson? I don't really know if that makes a ton of sense for like the Spurs. I don't know. I looked at a couple names like a Zach Collins or something, but I don't know who wants to take on the long-term money of this right now. So I think I'm just going to hold on to him and use him in a 3-team trade at some point during the season to help some other big move take place. So the only other thing I might do is because this second round pick is no longer here, I might push back one of my other second round picks to someone that could use it more this next season, just because look, how do I explain this best? Some of their, if I could talk, teams like OKC, they make one or two trades like this every year, right? Where they push their assets further down the line in order to better position themselves and they don't lose leverage on those draft picks, right? So you just look at their transaction history. They normally do like one or two of those a year. I kind of want to do one of those just because we have so many of these picks through 2026, 2027. I don't want these to become just like stale assets that we can't really utilize. So I'm wondering, is there a good team that could use these picks as soon as like next year or something like that? Like the Lakers, do they have they don't have a future second round pick. So no, that one's not going to work as much. Like Denver, do they have a future second? No, they have no seconds. Oh man, Denver is a tough one. The Clippers, potentially, they have one. No, they have a couple 2026 picks already. Could it be like a Golden State? What do they have for 2026 picks? They don't have any. Minnesota holds the swap rights to this 2031 one. We've traded for this 2030 second round pick before, because like the Warriors, like by 2030, you have to imagine they're kind of done by then, right? That could be a valuable pick to us. So what do we have for other 2026 picks? We have the right to swap, or what do we have? We have Chicago's pick. They could be ass. Phoenix could be ass, and we have our own. These are all actually pretty good second round picks, so we might just do a 1-for-1 swap. Or we could push some of our 2027s out now, but I'm not as worried about those. We could do one of those during the season if we need to. I think what we do, because Phoenix is going to try to at least be good next year, I think we give them the Phoenix pick. This next year, we send that over to the Warriors here. And then, are there any bad 2027s that we don't want? What do we have for 2027 picks? We have a Brooklyn or Dallas one. Okay, we have a Golden State or Phoenix. We have Chicago's, which is protected at that point, but whatever, and we have our own. Interesting. I feel like we have to give them one other pick to get this 2030 pick, because that's the one that I want. So let me just send this over to us right now. I think what I'll do is I'll throw in this Brooklyn or Dallas one for 2027. I'd like to hold on to theirs, because I have to imagine they'll still be competitive at this time. Or you know what? No, we'll give them theirs back for that exact reason. So let's send that back to them here. And then this is just a really simple trade of just moving some assets further down the line to make sure that we still have good value in our current picks. So now we've moved on from this pick right here, and we've moved on from this pick right here. So now we have a Warriors, and again, I know it's out of order, but just take my word for it, 2030 second round pick. Cool. I think that that's pretty good for trades right now. I know it's not the sexiest thing in the world, but I think this roster is kind of where it wants to be for the most part. I like that we were able to add a Coro, and we were able to move up in the draft a little bit so that we can go get another fun player or something like that. I'm starting to think Vukacic isn't going to make the roster at this point. I feel like we're going to need like a veteran big, or we might end up even drafting a big on here. So I'm going to say we now have 4 open roster spots to work with, but let's move on to the draft. Alrighty, so that brings us back to the Fanspo mock draft simulator, and here we are with the 6th pick. So we haven't talked much about draft strategy in this video at all, and that's because we are in a kind of tough situation, right? I do think that there's a world where the Wizards trade back. I really do. I think that maybe you could justify calling up Toronto and saying, hey, let's swap some things. We'll get some more assets or something, but I think it's a little bit complicated because the picks like 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 are all very similar level players in this draft. Maybe more so like 5, 6, 7, and 8, I would say. So you're not really getting like a ton of value for this. So I'd rather just have my for sure pick as to who I want in this draft. And the thing is, who do we want, right? Who do we want? So funny enough, I've got some like real life intel on this that I've acquired, which is interesting to say the least. So I'm going to try not to use any of that bias on this. And like, I'm not saying that that's for sure what they're going to do or whatever. I just happen to have a pretty good idea as to what their board looks like. So take that as you will. I'm not even saying that I'm employed by this team even. I'm never going to tell you guys who I'm employed by. But you guys can try to figure it out yourselves, I guess. What do we want? What do we want? Sar is I think the most kind of for sure prospect that we have on this team right now. Guys like Bub Carrington, AJ Johnson, Keyshawn George, Koulibaly, all interesting, don't get me wrong, but it's not like I'm above taking people at their position. when I look at the point guard spot, I'm like, oh shit, we've already got like 2 guys there. And AJ Johnson, I'm not even sure he's really capable of playing point guard. He could be more of an off-ball guy. I'm not huge on AJ Johnson personally. I know he's fun and like energetic, but man, he does not know what he's doing basketball-wise out there right now. And that's okay. He's young. He's going to figure it out. But looking at who we have available, we have Jeremiah Fears, who debatably could come in and play day one as a starting point guard. I'm not sure that would be ideal for him, thus the ideal offseason. But what would you get out of him is a shot creator day one, a guy that's going to try to play some offense on a team that is a little bit, well, look, we're lackluster all around. You can see the numbers here. Like, look, this is a butt booty buns team for the most part. But, he would just be allowed to go get some buckets, which is cool, right? That's very cool. You could look at Malawach and say, hey, why not just have 2 of these centers? Like, we could go kind of Twin Towers-y. Like, Sar is pretty athletic. Maybe he can play more of a forward. I don't like that idea for the reason of the best thing Sar does is protect the rim, be a switch defender, things like that. I feel like you take him out of what makes him his best if you go and add another center to this, and vice versa to Malawach as well. So I don't think that benefits either of them quite as much. Con Knipple, maybe more of a safe pick that you could go with here to be like, hey, we're just going to get a wing that can kind of shoot the ball. We know he's going to be solid, maybe not as high of upside. But this is a tough one, right? This is a tough one. I think what we're going to do, just looking at this roster, is like, look, Jordan Poole's going to have the ball a lot during this season anyway. Marcus Smart could as well. I'm not going to trip about the fact that we would have a lot of young point guards on the team, just because, again, we do have other options here should we really need to have somebody more competent with the basketball. I think I'd rather just go get a guy that I can kind of throw out there and let him just be the offense that he wants to be in Jeremiah Fears. And look, he's younger. He's got pretty good size. I don't really buy the whole like elite athleticism thing. He's more of a Spencer Dinwiddie type to me, but he can create for himself right now. He's got a couple moves. He's hit some big shots. I think we want to go Jeremiah Fears here and just hope that maybe he can be the point guard this next year. Alrighty, so Jeremiah Fears would get this much money. He would get a 4-year deal, and like, look, maybe it's Bub Carrington next year. I don't know. I'm gonna put Fears there just because I think he could be better. I always feel bad saying that though, because like when a guy's never played in the NBA before and somebody that has, there just is a vast difference between the two. But I don't know. I'm cool with putting Fears there for the time being. I'm really just comment generating right now so people could be like, Bub Carrington, AVC Bub Carrington would so start over Jeremiah Fears. Look at this stupid conversation you're having on the internet. It literally does not matter. I'm really turning up the sass this video because I have so much to do today. I've already recorded like 2 other videos. Okay, we take Jeremiah Fears, and now we've got another pick coming up. I think it's like pick 18, right? I believe that's what we have. Yeah, we've used the 6th pick. Now we're on to the 18th. And again, I think we're swinging for some upside right now. Who is available? Okay, here's what we got. There's some interesting ones here. Interesting. So we have Yegor here. Who just got picked? Oh, Carter Bryant almost fell to us. That would have been a cool one. Cedric Coward might have been kind of interesting. I don't know. By the way, who ended up taking who? Yeah, I could see a lot of this happening. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Who did my Bulls take? Ah, damn. Anyway, Yegor is definitely a longer-term prospect. He wants to have the ball in his hands a lot. I feel like we've got enough of those projects right now, so I think I'm going to pass on him. Will Riley, freshman forward, pretty athletic, kind of similar to Keyshawn George. It feels a little bit repetitive to me, so I think I'm going to pass there as well. You look at a Neat Clifford, a little bit older guy, maybe could come in and just be like a solid contributor for us right away. Again, maybe a bit of a loaded position, but you know, we've got a lot of projects everywhere right now, and that's kind of the thing with having this many guys is like, okay, when do people get the playing time? So if I'm going to presume that maybe a Corey Kispert gets moved at some point, maybe a Marcus Smart gets bought out, maybe a Chris Middleton gets bought out, I can justify a Neat Clifford and saying like, okay, I'm going to get an okay defensive player. He's going to rebound hard. He's kind of the Josh Hart type, if you would. Can put the ball on the floor a little bit if needed. I don't think he's got NBA ball handling skills. I could go with Fleming to add a little bit more size and maybe defensive intangibles to things, which I think could be interesting. You're not taking as much upside here, though, and this is another guy that doesn't really create for himself. This is a guy that plays off of others, which I actually value a decent amount just because I think there's a lot of guys that want the ball, but not as many that can actually play off of others. So there's, it might limit the upside, but maybe he can contribute a little bit more right away. And we don't really have that kind of true lengthy power forward that he's got good defensive intensity, right? He's a little bit more mature, ready to play right away. So I don't hate that pick. You could go with Ray No and go and get another younger center. Not sure I really want to do that. You could go with another guard, but that doesn't really scream anything all that interesting to me. So I think what I want to do actually is I think I want to take Rasheer Fleming. It just feels like a position that we don't quite really have yet and a different skill set. So I think I want to take Fleming. Rasheer Fleming. There we go, my boy. We'll throw you there. That's how much money you'd get. 4 years. And we'll just put him there for the time being. I don't really care. Okay, I like that. It's not as much of an upside swing, but maybe by the end of this we have like a decent defensive front court or something like that, right? We've got a couple interesting options of guys, and I know Koulibaly, does he really play this position? Not quite, but it's where I put him just for visual sake. Okay, so we took Rasheer Fleming. Now we have the 32nd pick. We've got our own pick back, so we can get somebody kind of solid here if the right person falls to us. So I'm curious as to who that is going to be. Okay. What do we got? We have Ben Serif here, who, again, guy that wants the basketball. Going to take a little bit of time to develop. He's been playing pro ball already, which is cool. He starts offense really well, doesn't always finish offense very well. So again, he'd be another kind of ball handling project, and I kind of don't want to do that because I want to give these guys a fair chance to be able to do that, right? So probably going to pass for that reason. I could go with Thiero here, he's just an athlete. He could be playing any sport for all I care. Like, he is just 6'8", strong and athletic. Doesn't do much else in the basketball court. Like, you presume he'll be at least okay defensively because of that, but not so sure. But again, solid athlete, solid size. When you look at what we have out here, not the biggest forward. There's size here and here, so, and like Okoro plays bigger than himself a lot of times, so I don't feel like I need that, but it is more of an upside swing. Hugo Gonzalez, pretty solid, smart basketball player. He played a lot of off-ball because he's been playing with pros already. That's kind of an interesting one. Just kind of looking where else. You could go with a Phylan, Cam Jones, Kobe Brea, who we take in like every draft. I think I'm going to pass on that. I could just go and get another big as well to come off the bench, because right now it's just Tillman and Sarr. I think I'd rather just go get a vet center to kind of pair with all of them. I'd like to have one more vet on this team especially, so I think I'll pass on like a Janai Broom, Hanson Yang, guys like that, and Kalkbrenner as well. I'm just not a huge fan of. So I think I like Hugo Gonzalez, like solid enough athlete, shown he can shoot the ball a little bit. He's very Mario Hezonja-ish type of player, which again, you have to develop him correctly, and this is more of an upside swing, but for the 32nd pick, like, I think we're getting pretty good value for that, so I think I'm gonna take Hugo. Alrighty, so we throw Mr. Hugo on here. He'd get about this much money. I can give him the 4 years. Cool. Throw him here. Why the hell not? Awesome. Alrighty, that's the draft. It's not exactly what we wanted, is it? But I don't think this team can trade up into the top 4 anyway. If an opportunity presents itself, great. I think you should. But otherwise, like, this is probably the best we can do. I think Fears has some decent upside. I think Gonzalez does as well. The most important thing is we're going to be getting the guys that we took last year out on the court just a little bit more this year anyway. But we do have a roster spot still open. We need another big on this team. Let's go on to free agency. Alrighty, free agency. Vukacic, we're going to have to respectfully decline. I need a more veteran big on the team for Sarr to learn from. That's not Xavier Tillman, so it's whatever. We'll see if Tillman lasts the whole season, right? It is what it is. Let's go find a center for us. Who are we gonna bring in? Clint Capella, no. Steven Adams, no. There's no way he's coming here. Mo Wagner, Al Horford, there's no way. Kevon Looney, I doubt it. Who are we bringing in? We could just do the typical Mason Plumlee ad that we always do. Aldama would be great. Not sure he's going to leave that team. Duron Sharp, again, I'd like someone a little bit more mature, somebody that's been around a little bit more. Tony Bradley, Paul Reed, no, not quite who I'm thinking. Alex Len, anything but that, please. No, don't do that to me, please. Let's take a look at like power forwards, because sometimes they put some other center type players there. Chris Boucher. Interesting. What are we working with? Like, we could use like a mid-level exception or something on like a Chris Boucher, and that wouldn't be the worst thing. Just for reference, here's some of Chris Boucher's numbers this last year. Offensively, like, not that bad, or honestly pretty good overall in terms of like EPM performance, and then defensively, not all that great, but I don't know. It's not a bad option, at least. He's not like the center exactly that I want. This. Why am I here? I want to be here. So that's not exactly who I want. Larry Nance. Larry Nance would be kind of interesting. He's at least been around the block a little bit. He's not going to command much more than a minimum, right? I can use part of the exceptions, part of the mid-level exceptions to bring him in. Maybe I give him like just like one last payday, like 1 year, like $5-6 million or something. Could we call it like 5.5? Nobody else is going to give him that. So I say we bring in Larry Nance. I think that that's a solid option here. He can try to play himself back into another contract. So let's bring in Larry here. I know he didn't have a great season. He was kind of hurt this last year, but he's at least been around the block. He's played enough center in his day. His dad was an NBA player as well. So not a bad option. Let's give him part of our exception. So let's go 5-5 is kind of what I'm thinking. There's Larry Nance. He gets a 1-year deal to kind of try and prove himself. We thankfully get to move Xavier Tillman back, and we can move Larry Nance Jr. right here. And this right here is your 2025-2026 Washington Wizards. Let's recap. Ew. It's not great, but that's kind of the point, right? It's not gonna be great. Let's get rid of these picks. What did we do? Well, we're rolling out basically the same team because they're really not in such a bad spot. They've got some vets on the team that we're okay with keeping. We've got kind of that main scoring option in Jordan Poole, which is a good thing, right? We don't want to roll out Fears and Sarr and Koulibaly and these guys and say, all right, you got to find a way to generate 20 points a night for us. No, like let's let Jordan Poole kind of be the guy that people game plan for a little bit. Let them kind of find their way with things. We've got a lot of young guards on the team, so he'll have the ball for most of it. We did successfully move some of our picks back, which is good. That's going to help us kind of maintain value of our draft picks going forward. We added another kind of vet in the team in Larry Nance. We were able to move up in the draft to go get like a Hugo Gonzalez, who we think could be interesting, and maybe Rasheer Fleming makes the rotation a little bit earlier than the average like 18th overall pick does. We also picked up an Isaac Okoro, which should just be a very solid player for us to have on the basketball court. We don't want to be that bad. We want to have NBA players on the court because otherwise nobody's getting better, right? Because you're just out there playing with bums every day, and it'll be tough. We kept Corey Kispert because we presume that somebody's going to want to use us in a 3-teamer at some point, and he could be a guy that we could use. And if not, whatever. It's not a big deal. We're not paying anyone else anyway. We're still $23 million away from the luxury tax, right? So not a huge deal. Overall, we're trying to stink this next year and hopefully get the guy that we're looking for long-term then. But hey, you guys let me know your comments down below. Let me know what you think. I'm always down to have the discussion, but yeah, let's move on to the comments of the video. Alrighty, y'all, the comment of the video is coming from our San Antonio Spurs ideal offseason video here. Go give it a watch. It's been doing very, very well performance-wise, along with the other ideal offseason videos, so please go give them a watch. Go give the Do They Fit in the NBA series videos a watch as well, because they always get demonetized. It's really annoying, but if you guys like them and I like making them, then let's keep pumping them out. But the comments of the video comes from Nova Go-To Game that said, I watched 12 minutes of Team Breakdown, and so should you. This one's probably a little bit longer, but watch it. It gives you context. What else do you have to do in a day? Just listen to something. No, it's whatever. If you skip it or whatever, I just think you're going to be missing context, and then you're going to leave me a stupid comment. So I appreciate you, Nova, for doing so. It's also good for my watch time. It helps the channel out a ton. So thank you very much. But as always, go join the Discord. Link is in the description here. You can just click this link. It's free. Go join the Discord. It's how you get access to the ideal offseason spreadsheet. You'll see in the announcements channel there. There's a free link to download it there. So hop on, have a good time, post what you make, or just keep it to yourself and do it while you're supposed to be working or in school or something. I don't care. I don't know what you guys do in your free time, but anyway, I appreciate you guys as always. We'll talk later. Thanks so much. Bye.